Buongiorno, hi, I'm Biba and welcome to my kitchen. Focaccia, a soft, yeasty, savory Italian bread, is becoming almost as popular as pizza. And today I will show you how to make the basic focaccia dough as well as several interesting ways to flavor it. Please get the pad and the pen to write down the recipe, which I'm going to give you next. You know, to make the basic dough for the focaccia, it's not hard at all. Let's take a look at the ingredients, which we need: active dry yeast, water, flour, salt, and olive oil. All things that we have in the house in any given day. Now, this is the first thing we do. Now, let me tell you that in this focaccia, we have two steps. The first step, we are making a sponge. The second step, we are making a dough, and we incorporate the sponge, and then we'll bake it. Okay, so follow me. The first thing I did, I put my yeast in the bowl, and I put the water. The water was lukewarm. In other words, you're better off using lukewarm water or cold water than water that is too hot, because if it is very hot, it's going to kill your yeast. So test the water by go under the faucet and put the water in your wrist. If it is comfortable or even a little warm is fine. If it is too hot, don't use it. When you see the little bubbles, leave the yeast with the water for 5 to 10 minutes. When you see the little bubbles there, it means your yeast is okay. Actually, what I do, I add even a pinch of sugar, because yeast feeds on sugar, and then the bubbles will come up right away. You know, today, the yeast, the packages you buy are very reliable. And actually, there is a yeast that will take half a time to rise. But always check the expiration date to make sure. You never know. It might have been on that counter, on the shelf for a long time. So this is the first step we are doing. I'm putting the flour into my yeast, and I'm mixing it with a fork. This is one of focaccia. It's become so popular today, I tell you that, I mean, wherever you go, Italian or non-Italian restaurant, you can find. Now, as you can see, I had proportion, but I guess I was a little too generous with the water because my dough here is very, very soft. So I'm just going to add a little more flour and mix it again, okay? Remember, you can always add, but you can't take away. So now I have, here we go. I have a nice, you can do this by hand or you can do it with a food processor. But you know, it is so easy and so simple to do this that why using a food processor when we can have fun in the kitchen? Now, this is just more or less the same technique that you would have for working the dough, the pasta dough, except it has a different consistency. It's much softer. It's very yielding. It is a little stick. Resist the temptation of adding more flour. Yes, what you are looking for is a little bit of stickiness. If you add more flour, not too much, you don't want to be able to pick this up and the dough follows you, but it has to be sticky, because if not, you're going to have a very, very heavy bread, very, very heavy focaccia. Then I'll fold it over toward me, push it away like I do for my pasta, and just do it, your kneading. And do this by hand for 6 or 7 minutes, even a little less, really, 5 or 6 minutes. And then after you're done with that, see how nice and soft, you clean your hands, as usual. We put this in a bowl, and I brush it lightly with a little bit of olive oil. Put it there, cover it up, and put it in a nice warm part of your house to rise, okay? Yeah, any place where it doesn't have any draft. In an hour and a half, it's going to be triple in volume. And let me show you what we have here. I just banged into something. And this is the first rising. This is the sponge. You see how pretty it has risen? Let it sit there for a while. Now, step number 2, we are going to make the other part of the dough. Here again, I have a big bowl. I started the same way. I have the water, and I have the yeast. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to add some salt, which is pre-measured, and I'm going to give you all the information, so don't worry about that. I'll give you the proportion. And olive oil, which I use extra virgin olive oil. And then I'm going to add the flour. Let me mix this up first a little bit, so everything is nicely incorporated. You know, it is a lot of fun to do these things in the house. And let me tell you one thing, that if you have children, they love this. They walk in, when my daughters were little, they would come into the house and there was this wonderful aroma of freshly baked bread. My accent again is getting on my way. They always came home with a bunch of friends because there was always something to eat. And I think it's great. And then you're going to mix all this like we did with that. Mix it well. If it is a little too sticky, remember, you need to have something that stays together. If it doesn't, then you just get a little more flour and you add it to that, okay? So here we go. Now this is a little sticky, now add a little more flour. And it's okay. Now I'm going to add my sponge. Look at this. Is this pretty? It's very pretty. I'll add it into that. I'll put it on my board. There again, where a nice wooden board does wonder. And then put a little bit of this, and now we need the two together, like I just showed you a second ago. Now, if it is just a little too sticky, put a little flour and give it a couple of good pushes. Knead this for 4 to 5 minutes until it is nice, soft, and pliable. Then you put it back into a nice bowl and let it rise again until it becomes this way. Is this nice or what? Now, what we are going to do now, we are going to have the oven very, very hot to about 400 degrees, at least 20 minutes before we get rid of all this. Because, you know, one of the secrets of cooking really is the cleanup. Clean as you go along so that you're not going to find yourself with a big mess and then you can't find what you need. You should see my husband when he gets in the kitchen. He makes such a mess that he can have the spoon under his nose. He'll never find it. I like to clean as I go along. Okay. Now, this is a wonderful dough. So you pull it out. See the magic of baking? To me, it's always, a wonderful thing to see how the dough rises, how everything happens. And this is just, I spread a little bit of olive oil here also. Now, you just probably want to put a little flour here. Now we need to push this into our baking dish, baking pan, cookie pan, whatever you have in the house. You can give it almost any shape you want to. Okay? This takes a little time and patience because it takes time and patience. If it could be done quickly, I would, but I can't. So you just spread it all over. Okay? And it's going to rise one more time. And then when this is risen, let me put this here. Let me show you. It seems confusing, but it really is not. You let it rise there. It's just a matter, you know, a little organization. That's all it takes. Write everything down, what you have to do. Now, you see, it is wide. Put a little indentation here. It is very soft. You put some salt. This is the basic focaccia dough, by the way, basic, just with nothing else. And then we are going to do a lot of things with that. So now, let me show you what we are going to do. Put this in. Take the other one out. And here it is, our basic focaccia that tastes so very, very good. And for the first rising of the focaccia, this is what you will need. 1 teaspoon active dry yeast dissolved in half a cup of lukewarm water and 1 cup all-purpose unbleached flour. For the second rising, you will need 2 teaspoons active dry yeast dissolved in 1 cup lukewarm water, 2½ cups flour, 1 tablespoon of salt, and 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And now, next, I will show you how to add flavorful ingredients into the basic dough, and then we are going to turn into something completely different. Let me show you what else we can do with this basic focaccia dough. We can make rolls, we can make breadsticks, because in essence, the focaccia dough is a bread. So we are going to start first with by making the rolls, okay? So I'm cutting 2 small pieces, probably the size of a large egg, okay? Yeah, it's just tiny, a little bit sticky, and just leave it that way. If it is too sticky, as you can see, then you can't leave it. You just have to put a little bit of flour in your hand. And you're going to roll this dough gently on the counter in a round motion without pressing it down like this until it is nice and smooth and rounded. If not, you can do it in your hand. I mean, there is not only one way of doing things. When you have a nice round piece of dough, you put it next to the others, you see. They are already beginning to rise. Then let's do another one. There is no mystery in doing this. Actually, this is fun. You can do anything you want. You will have different shapes. You can make bread in any kind of shape you want. Okay, here we go. And then you do as many as you want that way. And then when you are done with this, we just brush them with a little bit of oil. If you want your bread to be hairy and fluffy, you leave it on this baking sheet before putting it in the oven for another 15 to 20 minutes and we rise again. Now let me show you how to make the breadsticks. Okay, now again, we are going to roll it out like if we were making gnocchi. And as you roll it out, this will fight you, just very different than gnocchi because of the yeast inside. So you will have to be very patiently, roll it out and roll it sideways. And then again, if it is a little sticky, then you just you put a little bit of flour on the palm of your hand. And just keep going until you have a long, thin piece of dough. There you go. And when I say thin, I mean thin, because the moment you put it on your baking sheet and you leave it there just for a few seconds, it is risen again. And then it will become a big breadstick. And if you like thick breadsticks, it's okay. You can make them as thick or as thin as you like. So here we go. Roll them and get your kids in the house and let them play. This is really very educational also. They will do something that they will eat, they will smell it, and they will be so proud of themselves when they do this kind of thing. Let them play with food. That's how one is going to grow up loving food, you know. If they are not exposed to food, there is no way that they will have any interest. Here we go. I'm almost over there. Now, this is too long, so I'm going to cut it in half and thin it up just a little longer, a little more. And then you put it on your cookie sheet also until all the dough is already used. And it doesn't matter if one part is a little thicker than the other. And this is ready. Let's put it here. And then what you're going to do, of course, you're going to roll out more breadsticks and more rolls. And then you bake them at 400 degrees for 30 to 35 minutes or until they are golden brown. Now, this is what we have. They've already been baked. And I think they are really nice for the very little amount of effort that we have done. Now, you know what I do in my restaurant in Sacramento? We make breadsticks and we make little rolls. And just for extra flavor, I melt a little bit of butter in a skillet, put a little bit of very, very finely chopped garlic, and then I brush my breadstick with that. It's very nice, and a little bit of salt, if you like that, but easy with the garlic, however, because they are perfectly wonderful like this. And look, you see, can you hear this? It means they are really nice. They are nice and they are crunchy. And our next focaccia will be flavored with fresh rosemary and fresh sage. It will give an incredible aroma to your kitchen. And now we have our basic dough again. And you see, remember, we have done already two things. We have done the plain focaccia, the rolls, and the breadsticks. Now, what we are going to do with this, we are going to flavor it. And we are going to add inside a mixture of fresh herbs. And I surely hope you can have a source where you can have fresh herbs, because they are so wonderful. And then what you do, and if you don't, of course, then we have to have the dry herbs that we always keep in the house as an emergency, and you chop them up very fine. And I have fresh rosemary and fresh sage. Now, let me move this away. I'll make a little bit of space for myself. Okay, so you chop them very fine. You get your beautiful, fun dough. It is so much fun to play with the dough. At least I enjoy it. It's wonderful. And then what you're going to do again, you need to put a little bit of flour underneath, not much. Open the dough up a little like this, okay? Just so the idea that I'm trying to give you is that basically with this dough, which is very simple and very basic, you can add all kinds of flavoring. Right now I'm going to put the herbs, but you can add other things. You can add some dried tomatoes if you want. You can dry olives if you like it. I mean, other kind of herbs. So as you've seen, I put my mixture of pressed herbs inside, and now I'm going to kind of knead it a little bit, not too long. Let me put it there. Look how it's picking everything up, right? And then just work it inside like this. And then collect everything. You see, it's picking everything out. It's just like a vacuum cleaner. Here we go. Let's pick everything up. Have fun while you do these things in the kitchen. Don't become uptight. It's not a big deal. As I say many times, just a little bit of flour. In this case, some water and yeast. Now, the thing that I want, oh, here we go. Your baking sheet or cookie sheet or whatever you have in the house. Now, you have to roll this dough out. And because I just kneaded it, it will be fighting me. So if you let it sit like this, I don't have the time now, but if you let it sit, just cover with a kitchen towel just for 10 minutes, it will soften up. And it will be much easier for you to press it. You see what I'm talking about? To press it, and push it into the pan. So you just want to just cover, not cover, if you have a big baking dish, you don't have to cover it completely. So you just have to spread it into the dough until it is fairly thin, and then let it rise a little more, and then put it in the oven. At 400 degrees again, the oven should be very hot. You can even try to roll it out with a rolling pin. Okay, anyway, I am giving you the idea how to do it. I wish I had all the time in the world. But if you let it sit 10 minutes, like I just explained, it will be very easy to push it. With the palm of your hand, push it. And then, when it is in the pan, in the way you want it, you make indentation. You can give it any shape you want. It doesn't have to be a rectangle. It can be a round. It can be anything. It can look like something that you probably will not know what it is. It doesn't make any difference as long as it tastes good, because we are going to cut it after anyway. Then we press it like this with our hand. We put a little bit of salt. We put it in the oven. And when you take it out, it's going to be nice and golden and looking somewhat like that. But I did cheat a little bit. You see, I just put fresh rosemary on because that's the way I would like to present it. And then we are going to cut it. And it is crunchy, and it is wonderful, and you cut it into pieces, and it tastes very good. And you can use it instead of bread. The next focaccia I'm going to show you is a bit different, since the flavor will be on top of the focaccia and not in the dough. Buongiorno, I'm Biba, and welcome to my kitchen.
You see her prepare some of the best Italian dishes on her TV show. Biba always makes it look easy.
You can do so many things. This is the kind of food I like to cook.
And now you can have Biba's recipes in a brand new cookbook from Biba's Italian Kitchen. To order your own, use your credit card and call 1-800-248-3800. Or write from Biba's Italian Kitchen, P.O. Box 55742, Indianapolis, Indiana, 46205.
And here are my onions, which we are going to top the next focaccia. Now, the next focaccia, I told you before, is going to be just a little bit different because we won't get the onions and knead them into the dough. We are going to put it on top. So what I did, while you weren't looking, I got my dough, which was nice and it had risen, like I have done 3 times before, push it on the baking pan and put it in the oven at 400 degrees for 15 minutes. Now I want it out. This is the time that I'm going to... Ooh, look at this one. Isn't this fabulous? This is really nice. It's nice and hot. So now what I want to do I want to get the onions and put them on top. The reason why I'm doing this is because if I bake the bread at the beginning with the onions will burn. And the other reason why I'm sauteing and cooking the onions is because when they are very, very